So I am Kid Myself LP, and welcome to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda. A Link to the Past. I think it's about time we finally got started on my favorite video game franchise of all time. Well, one of the games of that franchise. Anyway, I am a huge Zelda nerd. I've played every single Zelda game there is, and I know crap loads of stuff about it, so don't be surprised if I pour in a lot of love into this LP. With me today I have...
Hey there guys, I am Sonicus, and I feel likewise or Ken. I'll explain here just a minute. Go ahead, introduce yourself, Marley.
And I'm Saxdude26, and I'm inclined to agree. This was also the first Zelda game I played. I played the Game Boy Advance version, despite the fact that the copy I originally had didn't save. Nevertheless, I love this game.
I also was introduced to the Zelda series with A Link to the Past first. I actually own 2 copies of it for my SNES. One was mine, and the other one was my brother's. He gave me his after the point where he stopped playing games in general, so he just gave me some of his games. I got this one as well. This is one I played a lot when I was younger. I also played the death out of the GBA port. This was a great game to take on the go. It's a short, yet fun game.
Actually, my first Zelda game was Zelda 2 on the NES.
Oh, how bizarre. Not that many people start with Zelda 2.
But when I was 6, that was when I was 4. When I was 6, I got Ocarina of Time a little while afterwards. So yeah, my beginnings with the series were kind of the same as most other people. It was literally just a bunch of games that came with the NES that I got because it was the first console I owned, not played. But yeah, I remember raging on Zelda 2 a lot.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I played Zelda 2 is when I got the Collector's Edition on the GameCube, which had that game on it, and I had to put the game down because I didn't know what to do, and I was having the hardest time trying to just get past the first area. Couldn't even make it to the first dungeon, mind you.
You have no idea how confused I was trying to get to the Tower of Hera in this game. And then trying to find Aghanim. I felt so dense when I finally worked out what I was doing wrong. And then when I got to the Dark World, it just got to a stage where I went, I'm not good with Zelda games. I need to practice. So, yeah, the early part of this game I really enjoy because it's really easy to get through and keep track of everything. But once it gets to the second half, I really do find that, surprisingly, I use the map in this game because I get lost very easily.
It's like how Golden Sun 1 is to Golden Sun 2. Like, it starts off really easy, and it's like, you're in a small kiddie pool, but then once you play the second half, it's like, oh my god, everything's like all confusing now. What?
Yoink.
Loink. Loink.
Loink.
No, the point is, the joke here is that it's pronounced the same as Link. It's pronounced Link.
I know, but it sounds funny to say loink.
I was just surprised that you said loink, Lester.
I know. I said that only because it sounds funnier. You can say Y as an I, but it sounds funnier as loink. So from now on, this kid is Lynk. So we know what to call him, this Link, when we get to the other games that's in this timeline.
But, yeah, the other save file was from my old LP on my old LP channel, which was deleted, by the way, but...
The files, though. That's good.
But
it's kind of like giving my Pokemon Yellow playthrough. Even though I transferred the files over to my new computer and everything, I still kept the saves.
Now, this is one of the few channels, one of the few LPs we plan to redo on my channel. I'll probably just do the GBA version instead, just so it doesn't look like I'm being redundant. But for the league's sake, I'm doing the Super Nintendo version 1 because it's got the best version of the music, period, and I think it feels more fresh doing it that way.
Well, that's the thing, though, because I find when I look at footage of the SNES version, the differences in the music compared to a lot of SNES ports that went to the GBA is fairly minor. I mean, you look at a game like Mega Man and Bass, you can really tell the difference. You look at A Link to the Past, and most of the differences are actually in sound effects, not in the music.
Zelda's my what? Zelda's my what?
They never tell you. Never do. We have to assume you're related. That's all we can get.
Zelda's my what? Zelda's my what? What is she? Wake up! What is Zelda? Eat a fairy!
I do admit that the GBA version was a really good port of this game, and it didn't really do that much to hinder the game compared to the original, but the soundtrack was more compressed to put on the GBA, so it does come a little
It's
inferior.
still the best version of the game.
But
IMO,
the thing is, for Let's Play's sake, you're playing this game, people are watching on bigger screens than just a little handheld screen. So it's better for the Super Nintendo version to be used and not the GBA, because everything's more squashed. And when you're playing it on a bigger screen, it looks a little more washed out and more squished in.
Well, don't forget the fact that Link actually has voice acting in that game. Well, by voice acting, I mean by...
Yeah, but all of the audio clips were taken from Ocarina and Time of Majora's Mask, so I really didn't have as much of a problem with that. And you know, the screen crunch, it's bearable because you know it's not something like Sonic, where you need to see around you.
They pretty much take his grunts and they put him in there, but I honestly thought that was a bad idea because it gets really annoying. In this game, he just swings the sword so you hear the sword, but in that game, it's like, ha, 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 all the time.
Well, actually, it's more like, I like toast, I like toast, I like toast, I like toast. At least that's how I heard it. I literally heard Link's slashing noises as, I like toast, I like toast, I like toast.
Yeah, I own both versions of this game. Well, go figure, I own every Zelda game in the franchise, but... yeah, that's... I think when I first got the game, I was like... It was back when my old video game store was around, and I think I only got it for like $8. I think they were having like a sellout day or something. I don't exactly remember, but I remember really wanting that game, and it was like one of the later games I got.
Well, that's good for a price you got there, because that's how much this game costs nowadays. It costs about $8 or so. Not just because of cartridges are easy to come by, but it's also because of Virtual Console.
Granted, I've found trying to get this game on eBay is a bad idea because more often than not, the internal battery is dead on cartridges of this.
Well, actually, I've looked at the Darn it, Marley! Darn it, Marley! I just sold Link to the Past on the GBA 2 days ago. You want to know the price I sold for it to?
What?
Do tell.
$10.
$8?
That's a pretty good price for it.
You should have told me this before. I would have totally sold it to you on the bat.
Well, that's the thing, because I have 2 copies of the GBA cartridge. The first one we bought, which sadly the internal battery was dead, and then the replacement copy that we bought, which didn't have a dead internal battery. Problem is, since the internal battery is dead in one, we can't play 4 Swords.
Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, you can start it, but every single time you go back to play, you gotta start
No,
over
no,
again.
less
And that's
than.
an issue.
I literally mean it will not play. You try and start up 4 Swords, link cable, 2 Game Boy Advance SPs and everything. You try to load the game and it won't even load the map screen.
Are you serious?
It has a connection
Jesus.
error. It has a connection error, just like my cartridge of Pokemon Ruby that didn't let berries grow.
That's why I have the DS version of 4 Swords.
Well,
Which is no longer available online, darn you!
Yeah, but the one thing I want to try when I do my Let's Play of this game in the future, I'm going to be using the Super Nintendo version, but when I get to the end of the game, I plan on showing the Palace of 4 Swords. What I wanted to try to do at that point is because I'm able to rip the saves and the ROMs off the cartridges itself now thanks to my DS flash card.
Okay,
I'm going to
let me
actually play
interrupt
through
you for
4
a second.
Swords
Let
for
me
once.
interrupt you for a second. I love how she made that speech seem like it was long and epic, and she's like, did you understand all of that? Yeah, Zelda, that was like 5 lines of text.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was real complicated. Thank you. But anyway, you continue.
But yeah, when I get around to my LP, I'm going to try to show off the Palace of 4 Swords, where you need to pretty much play and beat the 4 Swords game on the cartridge. And I see so many people hacking their way through it. I want to actually try it again in the legit way. The only way I can't know is, since I don't own all these different Game Boys and cartridges and link cables, I'm going to have to use the emulator method and link them together, then transfer the save back over to the cartridge.
A fair warning in advance, though, Lester, because the requirements to get all of the extra content require you to get 10 hero medals and to beat the game essentially 3 times with the necessary score. So you essentially will need to do 4 playthroughs of the same game just to get everything that you need. I'm planning when I do A Link to the Past, which I'll probably do eventually, I'm probably going to do the Game Boy Advance version, and I might have 1 playthrough of 4 Swords that I do with my sister if she's up for it. But it's
you need to invite me to that. Invite me to it.
Again, Hamachi does not support Game Boy Advance, and that sucks. Otherwise, we would be doing this as a 4-player LP on the League.
I mean, that's same here because it's, you know, a money drainer to try to do the GameCube version because, you know, gotta have 4 Game Boy players, a Wii, or another GameCube, have 4 different capture cards just for the Game Boys, another capture card for the main system. It's just a mess.
Hmm.
I mean, I would love to
I've
do
always
it,
find
but-
myself using the boomerang the most in this
Yeah.
game.
I'm kind of the same, especially when you get upgraded.
Though I find myself using it more often in Zelda 1 than I do with this game. God, the boomerang in Zelda 1 is so broken.
Although I find Boomerang to be very useful, as soon as I get the hook shot, I tend to use that more than Boomerang, because it does the same thing, but also pulls things to you and pull you towards things.
That is true, but I think what the boomerang has going for it the most is you can even use it while you're charging your sword. So you can walk around with your sword pointed out, and you can throw the boomerang at the same time. Which
Yeah.
means you can essentially stab something and paralyze it.
Whether
Yeah,
that was
this-
intentional design or not, I will never know.
But regardless, it's actually pretty good. I like it like that.
Yeah, same here, because it's a big improvement on what it's supposed to.
It makes it just far less frustrating.
So then, but again, when you mention it, I tend to forget how broken Link's Awakening's gameplay is. Like, he can jump around with your sword charged up. You can, like, hold your shield up while you're charging your sword. It's ridiculous.
With all those things going on at once, you'd think Link has very, very good focus.
And the most broken thing about it is that if you can hold B during the spin attack, and then you charge it up right again.
So you can charge up the spin attack while you're executing the spin attack.
No. Like while you're doing the spin attack, you can just hold B again and you start it up right away.
This isn't the hurricane
So,
spin.
wait a minute, actually, that's reminding me of pretty much how the quick spin attack works on the future games then.
Well,
Yeah,
or more like the
Because it's more
hurricane spin because of how rapidly you could abuse that. That's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah,
it would
in my
essentially
opinion,
be the precursor if you could pull it off
had the best
consistently
spin
enough.
attack in the entire series.
I would say so. If it's that easy to use and that spammable, then yeah.
And in some cases, when you jump into it, means even if you're in the air and they're on the ground, the spin attack will even hit them too.
Depth perception!
That's like probably one of the best spin attacks because of how easily broken it is. Yeah, I can see it now.
Hmm.
Just by the description, not even by just seeing it.
I take it nobody's played Link's Awakening, haven't they?
I've only played a few minutes of it. I don't own it, and I tried to play it on an emulator, but the problem was I tried to play it on an emulator on my DS. They don't work all that well, so the emulator I had no save feature, even though it said it had a save feature. It really didn't.
Sounds like I need to LP
Safe
that for the
files are
leak
clear.
too. Oh my goodness.
I've been meaning to, but the problem is I just haven't got around to it yet. Although my sister did play it and she got lost trying to get to the Deku Tree.
I mean, I want to get back to it. I want to try it again, but yeah, it's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. Just haven't had the chance to yet.
Granted, I would probably not LP that game blind because Zelda game plus blind equals great.
The only good thing
Yeah.
about it is when you see him go through the dungeons for the first time. Besides that, I could see your Uggs.
Yeah, other than that, this dungeon's not really anything special. I really wouldn't have much to talk about. It's fairly basic as you can get. Just make sure you've got your lantern, though. You have 3 separate chances to get it.
Before we get out, I want to mention this though. This is the only dungeon that does not have a compass. I never knew this for years though, but I've been searching this whole entire place. There is no room that has a compass.
Yep.
You don't need it though, that's kind of why, but
But,
this is the only one in the whole game.
The compass would hone in on the where the enemy is, and of course there is no enemy, so there's no point to having it.
but yeah, there's like literally 3 separate chances you get the lantern. One is in your house, one in the room after you find your dead uncle, and the other right next to the princess. So, I'm hoping there's not an idiot out there who actually missed it. So.
Now, what do you mean by homing in? Because if you're meeting the boss, yeah, there's no boss. Besides that, the compass doesn't really show enemies. It just shows
Well,
chests.
no, I mean the main enemy, the boss enemy of that dungeon.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. You come back there later, and there is a boss. So that's the one thing that always eluded me. I thought you would get in the second half, but you never do.
Hey, wait a second. Wait a second, Sage Guy. We just met like 5 seconds ago, and now you're telling me all this crap I need to do to save the world. You're like putting too much pressure on my plate. Like, God. Ah.
Hey, he's religious, so you know if he thinks he has a destiny, then you gotta believe the guy.
But
Because
going
he-
back to that, Lester, I
Legend
think the
says
main
so.
reason they didn't put a compass in is because that whole dungeon is just linear. There's no reason to put a
yeah.
compass. There's no reason to put a compass in a dungeon that's on a straight path.
It's very linear. There's not that many treasure chests. It surprised me. It's the only one in the game that doesn't.
True.
It's like one of the only dungeons
Actually,
that
there
really
is
don't
another
have
one if you're counting the second part of Hyrule Castle, but...
That's what we're just
no,
talking
that's what I'm
about.
saying. The second part of Hyrule Castle is the same dungeon. It's just the second part of it.
Somebody's been paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But anywho, next up is part 2, where we explore Kakariko Village and go to the first dungeon of the game, so see you guys then.